Tonight, I'm going to be speaking to us about a topic entitled The Power of Failure. Everyone doesn't like failure. Only a few of us understand the advantage it carries. Many of us run away from it. We shy away from it. We don't even want to talk about it. And we don't want to be confronted with failure. We don't want to even associate with it at all. And we fail to understand, or we rather forget to understand, that we do not learn anything from success. We celebrate success. We don't learn from success. We only learn from failure. Failure is the only instrument that gives you the opportunity to start again. But this time, you start wiser. You start as a wiser person. You start as a more intelligent person. Failure is the only instrument in life that gives you that advantage. And that's why there is an advantage when you fail early in life. Most of us in our early years and our early stage in life, we complain, why are we failing? Why am I failing so much in all these things? But you fail to understand that you should be appreciating the fact that you are failing at the early stage of your life. Because there's an advantage failing in this stage of your life, because you get a lot of wisdom. You become wiser as you grow. And when you get to that stage of your life, when you are matured enough, you must have failed as much as you can and has acquired enough wisdom from those experiences. Now, I want us to be clear on something before I go on, because I know there's been lots of similar topics about failure. But I want you to be very clear about what I'm talking to us tonight. I'm not saying people should go out there and fail. I'm only saying that when you fail, don't leave empty. When you fail, take something back from that experience. Take something back from that experience. One of those things that I want you to take back is what I will share with you shortly. You see, two things happens when you fail. Two things happen because failure produces two substances. One, it produces weakness, and two, it produces strength. You encounter a lot of people who are saying, I've given up, I don't want to go on anymore, I'm tired. And the reason they see all these things is because what they got from that experience is weakness. You will meet people who say, I don't want to push anymore, I don't want to even go near there anymore. People who have encountered a bad experience in their life, or a bad experience while they are growing up, or a bad experience in their business, in their relationship, in their marriage, and because of that, they don't want to experience anything similar to that anymore. People have walked out from marriage and they have said, never, I would never get married again. People have walked out from business and said, I would never venture into entrepreneurship anymore. People have gone into partnership and said, never again will I go into partnerships. Because their experience or the substance they got from failure was weakness. Failure has made them weak mentally, it has made them weak emotionally, it has made them weak psychologically, that they cannot confront anything that might maybe or somehow get them to fail. Failure does not even make some people want to stand up anymore. Some people have failed, they're falling down, falling flat on their face, and they cannot get up again. Some are still remaining in their failures because they are weak. Failure has given them weakness as the only substance, and they are still lying in their failure. A lot of us in this room right now, you are still battling with your failure. Failure of 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 2 years ago, you are still battling in it. You are still lying in it. Because what you got from that failure was weakness. Failure has kept you in that mess. And because you are so weak, even physically you are so weak, psychologically you are so weak, mentally you are so weak, emotionally you are broken, you are unable to get up from that mess. Failure has kept you in that state. Failure can make you so weak that you are even blind to other opportunities. Because somebody has had a bad experience before, he has shut his door to every form of partnerships, forgetting that maybe a new partner might be the only instrument for your business success. Because of a failed marriage, somebody has said, I'm never loving anymore. But forgetting that maybe, just maybe, your spouse, your fiance, your boyfriend, your girlfriend might just be that person that you need for your next stage in life. Someone must have had a miscarriage during a pregnancy. Somebody must have lost a child, must have had a pregnancy that has gone wrong, and because of that they are just afraid to even try again to have a child. They said, no, I'm not, never again will I have a child, or even try to have a child. Not realizing maybe their joy in life, their essence of living might just be from that child, that newborn baby, that joy they bring into this earth. You see, when you get weakness out of your failure, it's a pity, because you can remain in that mess for the rest of your life. Now, remember I said to you that failure produces two substances: weakness and strength. And I said there's one particular thing I want you to get out of failure. Because yes, definitely yes, we would all fail at one point of our life. At one stage of our life, we would definitely fail. And there's one thing that I want you to get out of failure, and that is strength. Failure can make you stronger, because failure builds an experience that makes you stronger, an experience that makes you wiser, an experience that makes you more careful when you encounter such a similar situation. But the funny thing is that some people are even trying to be careful not to fail. I've met people who are so careful that they never want to fail. They plan everything so rightly. They tell you, in my business, in my life, in my family, I am so careful that I never want to fail. These guys are so careful with the decision that they make. They are so careful with everything that they do. But I want to tell you tonight, you can never be too careful not to fail. Whoever told you that you can be extremely careful and that you will never fail, it's a myth. People are so careful about the kind of job they want to have. They're careful about the kind of business decision they want to make. They're careful about their investments, their marriage, the kind of wife, the children, their family lifestyle, their family life. They're careful about their finances. They plan these things so rightly. And they think that because I have planned so well, I would never fail. They even look at others that are failing, and they look at them like a failure. They look at them and as if these guys are just too careless, and that's why they are failing. They've carried themselves to a stage that, no, I have planned my life so much that I won't fail. It is impossible to live a life without failure, African entrepreneurs. Unless you want to live a life so cautiously that it might as well seem as if you never lived at all. And in this case, you are a failure by default. Because if you are so cautious and so careful that you don't want to even live your life, then you've already failed. African entrepreneurs, you will never really know yourself or the strengths of people around you, the relationships you keep, until both have been tested by adversities. People who surround you and say, I love you, I love you, I like you, I can do anything for you, I can do everything for you. The only thing that tests these things are adversities, the problems that come into your life. And failure then begins to reveal those relationships to you. It reveals your strength, how strong you are. It reveals the strength of your family members. It exposes the strength of your friends, your network, those people who say, I will stand by you. When you are in problem, when you are failing, it will show who is who. Let me tell you something. If you have never failed in your life before, expect it. Yes, I said it. Expect it. And prepare for it. Prepare for it by absorbing strength out of that failure. And I'm saying this because there is no one that ever lived that never failed. So it's important that you know that if you have never failed, someday you will fail. Yes, someday you are going to fail. And when you fail, and that is what I'm talking to you about tonight. When you fail, make sure you don't leave that failure empty. Make sure you don't leave that failure by taking and picking the wrong substance. Make sure you leave that failure and taking strength out of it. Strength that you gain from wisdom, from experience, from the lessons that you learned from that failure. Strength that you gain from the experience of that mistakes. Because how else can we learn in life if we don't make mistakes? How else can we learn if we haven't had bad experiences? You see, to get strength out of failure, There are 4 things that you should be if you want to get strength out of failure. Number 1, you must never be scared of failing. You must never be scared of failing in everything that you do, every step that you're about to take. As long as you are right with it, you have done your own study about it, you have understood what that decision is about, you've taken time to scrutinize it and analyze it and define it, then you should never be scared of failing. Because if you are scared of failing, you are going to limit your chances. And the more chances you take, are the more chances you have to succeed. So many of us deprive ourselves, like I said earlier, we deprive ourselves of so many opportunities because we are scared of failing. And ultimately, when we fail, immediately, the first thing that comes to us, or the first thing we observe, is weakness. We regret, we become sad, we become emotionally broken because in the first place, we were scared of it. Now understand this and hear me very carefully. The moment you are not scared of it, the moment you are bold enough to confront it, the moment you are ready to accept whatever comes out of it, even when you fail, it is very easy for you to bring strength out of that experience. So the first thing, like I said earlier, was never you be afraid to fail. If you have planned everything, you have defined everything, you have analyzed everything, you have created a structure, a strategy, be it in a relationship, be it in a business engagement, be it in a new product, be it in a partnership deal, you've done all the necessary things you need to do, and it sits right with your conscience. Please approach this decision with every boldness and never be afraid to fail. The second thing you must do, or you must be, to be able to drive strength out of failure, is if you are not ashamed of failure. Never you be ashamed of failure. In the school of entrepreneurship, there is no shame, because failure itself, it's a class on its own. Yes, it's a course. You have to pass through it. If you are in this room and you're an entrepreneur, be rest assured that you would fail. And when you do, remember, this is a course. This is part of the subject that you must pass in the school of entrepreneurship. And how do you pass this subject? It's what you take out of that experience. As I was saying, a lot of us are too ashamed of failure. We are too ashamed to even discuss our failure. We hide in it. We don't want to tell anybody about it. We don't want anybody to know about it. At the moment you are hiding in it, the moment you cannot, you are covering it, the moment you are getting weaker and weaker and weaker day by day. I tell people every time, I said I've failed. I've failed in almost every aspect of life. I have failed in business. I have failed in school. I have failed in marriage. I have failed in many aspects of my life. But I'm never ashamed to share my failure experiences. My strength continues to increase. I become stronger and stronger because I begin to just enjoy the experience, the wisdom I gained from those failed experiences. We cannot be ashamed of these experiences because it is part of your existence. It is part of what makes you. It's part of all the lessons of your life that you are supposed to adopt to help you become stronger. Lots of us have failed in our marriage, we failed in our businesses, we failed in a partnership, we failed in relationship, and we cover these things, we hide it. We don't want to tell anyone about it. Many people are in homes that it's already hurt, but they cannot tell anybody that I am going through this, I am going through that, I am going through this. Some people are going through a business that is already failed. You know that this business is failed, but you are too even ashamed to talk about it, or you are too ashamed to even admit that business or that relationship or that partnership has failed. You see, guys, another thing you must be able to do or be to be able to derive strength from failure is to accept your failure. Yes, accept your failure. Most of us live in denial. Most of us. Your business is broken already. Everything about that business is not working anymore. You know it. Because this is rock bottom. You can see you have hit rock bottom. But instead of you to bounce back with that experience that you have gained, instead of you to bounce back from the strength that you have gained, you decide never to admit. You do not want to accept. Some of us are in a broken marriage, in a broken home. We can see that this is not working anymore. But we choose to remain inside because what will people say? Like I said before, being ashamed, what would they say if I accept? What would they say if I say I cannot do anymore? What would I say if they know that I'm divorced? What would they say? What would people say? We are using that and we are denying that experience. Some of us have failed in our family. We have failed in our academics. You are in university, but you know that what you are studying is absolute rubbish. It is not in line with what you want to do in life. It is not in line with what you understand or what you've got a passion for. But you don't want to accept it. You continue to waste every year of your life studying what does not even make sense to you. And at the end of the day, you graduate to become something that you are not. You have a certificate of something that you know from the very beginning was a failure. So you have the chance in your first year, in your second year, but you never accepted. Because you are scared of starting again. You see, a lot of people, and this is another point I need to speak about. They don't want to start again. How do I start a new family? How do I start a new business? How do I start a new course? How do I start a new relationship? How do I start a new friendship? A new partnership? Because of that fear, they don't want to accept the current situation that is facing them right in front of them. African entrepreneurs, if you want to derive strength from your failure, you need to accept your failure. You see, lastly, what you must be or what you need to do to get strength from failure is to learn from it. You see, each and every failed experience teaches us something. And we have to be cautious enough to listen to that lesson. We have to be cautious enough to absorb that lesson so that you don't leave that failure empty. You don't leave that experience empty. You have to revisit that failure constantly and consciously. Revisit that situation that happened to you and extract the wisdom, extract the knowledge, extract everything that you can from that experience so it's never wasted. That is the best thing you can do for yourself. You see, Thomas Edison even said it. He said, I have not failed. He said, I have just found 10,000 ways that won't work. So he classified every wasted effort to a lesson of how that situation would not work. So that is the same thing you must be able to do. Don't let any failed experience waste. I don't know what you're currently feeling at. Your business, your ideas, your startup, or even your family, marriage, education, whatever it is. Please draw out wisdom from it. Take advantage of your failure. Take advantage of it. Revisit it if you have left it. If you are still in it, begin right from now to take note of what are the things that are learned from this failed experience. Because at the end of the day, I can tell you, but every failed experience of mine has made me a better person. Every failed experience, be it in my business, be it in a partnership, be it in a business deal, be it in my marriage, be it in family, be it in friendship, every failed experience, I have never left it empty. And that is why every day I am a better person. Because even when I fail, I take something out of it. The A.Y.E that has brought us all together was founded based on business failure. I took advantage of my failure then. I failed so badly in my business. I failed so badly in my startups many years ago. And I said to God, I said, if you see me through this, I will create a platform where other Africans all around the world will not ever have to go through the same thing I went through. Because at that time, there was nowhere to even get any knowledge from. There was no support system. Because when you fail as an entrepreneur, the first thing that happens to you is you begin to feel this sense of isolation. You feel you are alone in this mess. You feel like you're alone in this failure. That was the first feeling that I went through when I was failing in business. And at that time, all I wanted was another entrepreneur who can tell me, Summy, you know what? I'm feeling the same thing. We are in this together. Who can tell me if you can achieve this much alone, how much more can we achieve together? Who can encourage me and collaborate with me when I was down? I never saw that person. There was nobody, there was no network. I searched online. There was nothing like the Africa's Young Entrepreneurs. There was no community, there was no association, there was no network of entrepreneurs trying to develop and build one another, that promotes one another, that empowers one another. And at that time, all I did was to make my rock bottom, my solid foundation on which I began to rebuild myself, and on which I began to build my vision, and on which the A.Y.E Foundation, the A.Y.E organization that we all celebrate today is being built on. My failure. I'm not saying failure is fun, because when it's present, it's always the darkest part of our life. But failure opens your eyes. It opens your eyes in a dramatic way. It shows you a clearer vision of your environment. It shows you a clearer vision of yourself, a clearer revelation of yourself and your surrounding. I never for once believed in Africa. I never wanted Africa. At the early age, I just wanted to go out of Africa. But when I failed was the only time I began to look inward and began to look at my environment and began to see what Africans are going through. I began to realize, because failure would just begin to open all sense of understanding, that Africa needs to be rebuilt. Africa needs to take advantage of its advantage. And I began to see the beauty of Africa and the opportunities that are present in the midst of our failures. And at that time, did I become a Pan-African. So the Africa I'm always crying about, the Africa I'm always passionate about, the Africa I'm always promoting, that love for Africa was built from my failures. African entrepreneurs, as I close my message for tonight, I want you all to notice that there is power in failure. Never you again look at failure as the worst thing ever. Find light in the darkness. Find strength in that weakness. Find joy in that pain. And never you forget my message to you tonight, that from every failed experience, draw power out of it, draw strength out of it. That strength can come in form of experience. You become wiser when you are encountered with similar situation, or when you even encourage somebody or advising somebody else. You become wiser. That strength could come in form of knowledge. Intellectually, you'll be sound. That strength could come in form of humility. Failure humbles us. Yes, it does. Failure brings us to our knees. It brings us to a space, to an atmosphere where we realize that yes, we are not alone in this world, or we cannot do things by ourselves anymore. Failure just has a magical way of humbling us. The strength can also come in form of maturity. Yes, most of us that have failed has become more matured in the decision that we make, in the way we react to situations, in the way we behave in our businesses, or even in relationships. We become more matured because failure also helps us to learn how to manage our emotions. You see, there is so much power in failure that you can even learn from another person's failure. It doesn't have to be you. So even in your environment, or in your neighborhood, or in your community, or in your country, whatever failed experience that you see, either from another person's business, either from a competitor, or from a partner, or from a friend, you can learn from that failure. That's how powerful failure is. You can draw strength from another person's failure. And that is my message for you today, that no matter where you go, no matter where you are, whatever happens to you, whatever it is, if it's a failed experience, never you leave without taking something from it. African entrepreneurs, I also want you to know this, that failure can reward you. Yes, it can. If you choose to use your failure to protect others from failing in the same dimension, in the same sector, in the same area, then you will begin to see the reward of failure. begin to enjoy the reward of failure. Because it will not only be you that will be proud of yourself, or your family members or your relationships that will be proud of you, but it will also be thousands and millions of people that you have helped change their reality that would also be celebrating you. And when they celebrate you for protecting them, you will ultimately begin to reap the reward of that failure. I don't know what you're failing at. Please, I beg you, take every knowledge, every wisdom, every energy, every strength you can from it. Because that might as well be your next business idea. Either it happens to you or it happens to someone close to you. Grab the power of failure. And I can assure you that power, that strength you got from that failure would see you through your life journey. I thank you all for listening, and may God bless you.
Wow, it's really a pleasure signing up for Clubhouse today. From what I heard from Mr. President, it is really an inspiration.
I'm a bit emotional right now.
This message gives us a better response moving forward, to undo failure, how we can transform it to a positive result.
Thank you very much for this message, and it's a message that's really encouraging.
I have learned that failure in itself is not failure, is a means to an end when you have learned from it. But when you don't learn from it, then it's a complete failure.
What Mr. Summy had said today is like a reassurance and a testimony for me.
It was really awesome from the president. Thank you so much, sir. God bless you. God bless A.Y.E.